Good morning and welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR, and we are very pleased this morning to be joined by one of our keynote speakers for this week's HAR Technology Summit. She's also a national keynote speaker and an Instagram expert. She's going to talk to you today about all things video and Instagram. It's Sue Pinky Benson. Welcome to the program.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here, and I'll be in Houston tomorrow. I can't wait.
Yes, we can't wait to see you at our event, which we'll talk about a little bit later with you. And we're so excited that you're going to be leading a session with us. And I'm excited to hear what you have to say. But before we get into all things IG, all things video, all things marketing, let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay. So I think it's kind of just awkward sometimes to talk about ourselves, but I'll give it my best shot. So I am an active real estate agent, just like everybody else, and I am in Naples, Florida, and I've been selling real estate for about 15 years now. And I really got into social media marketing early on. So when Facebook first came out, I was in there and I was playing and I was trying things. And this is before I was in Naples. So I had spent half of my career in another market in Florida, up near Tampa, very rural area. And I remember my first posts on Facebook being like, who does she think she is? What is she doing? What is this about? I mean, you heard everything, and then it became, I think Gary Vee came out with his book talking about social media marketing, and everybody kind of jumped onto that bandwagon. And literally, Gary Vee came into my life right when he needed to, and we were moving to Naples. And so I started to rebuild my business. I didn't have a big pocketbook, so I relied heavily on social media and using video. And video was just in its infancy stages with social media platforms. And one of the ways that I really came into it was with Facebook Live. And
Mm.
so I was going around every Friday doing Pinky Knows Naples in 1 o'clock on Fridays every week. And that was kind of my entrance point into really getting known for doing videos. And then now it's just kind of evolved into Instagram and all kinds of other things. So I have to tell you that it does work. It's just like any other pillar in your business. You have to be consistent, you have to show up, you have to be on point, and you have to do it over and over again. But it'll work.
Yes, that consistency is key. And I love that you pointed out that, you didn't have a big budget. And I think that's what some people forget about social media too, is that at its core, it's free. Sure, you can boost posts and run ads and things like that, but at its core, it's free. So this is a great entry point for so many people. Now, there's obviously different kinds of video for different platforms. We hear about short form video, and that's key. You've got to get in there just a couple seconds. But then we also hear about long form video where you can really educate people. What do you prefer? What do you think realtors should focus on, or does it vary by their goals?
No, I think that there is a purpose and a place to both long form and short form videos. Um, the real essence of any video is that you're coming from a place of giving value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the value may be that you're educating them on the listing. It's a walkthrough video of a property, something that I put on my YouTube page that is focused on a buyer who is interested in a home and seeing every little attribute. That's going to be probably 15, 20-minute long video. That's not for my Facebook audience. They're not going over to Facebook to sit down and watch a 20-minute video. YouTube, they are. So knowing the platform and what the purpose of that video is and who your audience is to educate them correctly is going to be the right way to go as far as length. So then maybe on Instagram, where I coach agents on what type of videos to create, I do a short form video talking about the power of using a walkthrough video, right? But again, it's getting in there and getting to the specifics and showing up with the value. It's not about me showing up and saying, hi, my name is Pinky. I've been doing real estate for 150 years. Here's my brokerage name. Here's my bio. That's not what it's about. It's about getting in there and supplying them with like, here are 3 tips to let you know how you can make a better walkthrough video that gets the home sold, right? So knowing the platform, knowing who your audience is, and then creating the video that goes with it. So there is power in long form and there is power in short form, but it all comes down to the value that you're putting in and what you have to say.
Very good. Thank you so much. Everybody's always looking for a way to stand out, and in different industries, we might see different video trends. Are there any video trends that you're seeing in other industries, maybe that realtors aren't quite utilizing as much as they could be?
First of all, I think realtors are not utilizing video, period. I mean, and I have to say, I'm so jealous of what Houston has. You guys have like what, four different locations with a video room and
Hmm.
the capacity to be able to go and create videos somewhere. Like that is, I'm envious of that. I wish my board had something like that I could go and use. So totally take advantage of that. But I think the number one thing is agents are afraid to put themselves in front of the camera. They're afraid they're going
Hmm.
to say something. And one of the easiest things to do is green screen, right? Using a green screen filter. Okay, now I know you have them at your board rooms as well,
Hmm.
but there's a filter on Instagram that you can upload media, which is a photo or a video, and then talking about it. So you can upload a video of your listing and you could be in front of it just talking about the listing, and you don't even have to be there. You could be on vacation in, Cancun or whatever, and you could be still promoting your listing as though you're there. Nobody needs to know. So I think that getting over the fear of what am I going to say? Oh, I don't look so right. I need to lose 15 pounds before I do the video. I don't understand. I don't know how to do this.
Hmm.
You have to put yourself in it to do it. Think about the first time you ever had to put a listing in the MLS and you were like, oh my gosh, there's 999 questions. This is going to take me all day. And it did. It took you forever to put that listing in. And now it's like, oh, okay, I got it. I know what they're going to ask and I'm ready to go. It's the
Hmm.
same thing with doing video. Once you get yourself in front of the camera and you start doing it, you'll realize what you need to do and what you can do better next time.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, I think you partially answered my next question, but I'm going to ask it because I still see it all the time. And that is, with so many new technologies and AI tools, video creation's a lot more accessible to people than it was maybe a few years ago. But I see a lot of realtors doing voiceovers. What is your thought on being on camera, me seeing your face versus a voiceover?
Okay, well, number one, having a background in broadcast journalism, I want you to understand why the anchors at TV stations get paid the amount of money they get paid.
Hmm.
Doing a voiceover is not an easy thing to do. It is going to sound like you're reading it and it's going to sound unauthentic. When you're in front of the camera and you start to naturally show up, it's going to come over in your natural voice and they see your face, which why do you think we have put our faces on our business cards, our bus bench, on the side of a trolley? It's so that people recognize and say, "Oh, that's you. I've seen you everywhere. You're on my grocery cart." It's the same thing with you showing up in the video and just saying a few words.
Hmm.
It's getting people to connect with you and see you. Your voice, it's not really the same thing. And I think it's quite honestly a cop out. Like oh, and honestly, it's harder to do voiceovers. Like I don't know why you want to do it that way. I mean, you could, but I don't think that that's the answer.
I've actually heard some voiceovers where people kind of sound half asleep, and I know that's not their intention, but it sounds that way a little bit. So yes, seeing your face, they're what I tell people is they're going to see your face anyway. When you go to show them the home, when you when you go to that listing presentation, they're going to see you anyway. So just put your face on camera. Very good. I'm glad you agree. So you, as we mentioned, have had great success on Instagram. There's so many features in Instagram, though. So, are there any features on Instagram that you feel like realtors aren't taking as much advantage of as they should be?
They sleep on stories.
Okay.
They do not understand the power of stories, which in my coaching, like I really dive into stories. It's one of my favorite weeks where I teach my what I call my tutelese about stories because stories is where the relationships are truly built. Okay, like the direct messages, the conversations that you're having behind the scenes because you've shown like, oh, this is where I go for my dry cleaner and this is my favorite place to get ice cream. Those little things that you're like, nobody
Yeah.
cares what kind of flavor ice cream I like. They find it relatable, and then all of a sudden they're your new best friend
Mhm.
just simply by being in stories and sharing those little moments that you're like, nobody cares about this. And then getting into the direct messages because it's not going to work if you're not going to be in conversations with these people. Like, that's the big thing is that if you're getting direct messages and you're ignoring them, then you're ignoring a potential relationship, which means what? Ultimately a business.
Mm.
So
Very good. So stories. Any other features that you want to mention?
I think that overall, agents are overwhelmed by Instagram, and they think, "Oh, well, I'm on Facebook. What's the point? I don't get
Mm-hmm.
any traction." Well, because you're not understanding the platform of Instagram. Facebook is great because it's your friends, right? But your friends are capped at about 5,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's ways around it, or, change to digital creator, whatever, but you're at 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And still the algorithm's just going to serve up to your bunch of friends, right? Like that's where your posts are going to go to. Whereas on Instagram, you have the ability to go beyond your followers. You have the ability to engage with people outside of that audience, which is an amazing opportunity for you to start to be seen in your community. So if you're creating content that is community based, and that does not mean you're just listed, just sold, just doing my job post, those stink. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be out there. Like right now, I have a video that I repurposed. It was a video that I did a couple years ago. Actually, I had longer hair, so oh my gosh, I posted a video with me with longer hair, and I put it up. It was just talking about one of the oldest homes here in Naples that's down by the beach. Very simple, nothing extravagant, and yet my audience is resonating with it. Like, oh yeah, and they're sharing it, and they're liking it, and that is really powerful. So creating content that resonates with your audience and understanding and going a little further than
Mm-hmm.
just your Facebook friend list is going to get you more business and more eyeballs on you.
Okay. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about mistakes because we can learn from mistakes. What mistakes do you see realtors making on Instagram?
Just listed, just sold, just doing my job posts. That's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing. People understand why they're not growing. And you're coming from a place of business mentality. That's not what Instagram is. It is a brand platform. So you want to build your brand, but what is your brand? And your brand isn't necessarily that you sell houses, okay? Your brand is what is uniqueness about you. So what is it that you offer to your community that's a little bit different? And it could be something as simple as maybe you're a potato chip lover, right? And you're the
Mm-hmm.
potato chip connoisseur real estate agent who takes potato chips with her on every open house at every listing. And she's always talking about potato chips and she hides them in the listing photos. That could be an entire brand
Mm-hmm.
and people would resonate with you. And the next thing you know, you're going to be going places and people be buying you potato chips, right? Like you could have a whole brand around that. And it sounds silly, but people would, "Oh, you like potato chips? I like potato
Mm-hmm.
chips. Let's follow each other." So I think that it's confusing to them because they don't understand the branding side of it, and that's the biggest mistake they're making, is that they're just showing up, just doing their job, just being there, and that's not going to work with that audience. The
Mm-hmm.
audience wants to be educated, they want to be entertained. So what can you do to educate? If you don't want to do the potato chip thing, come from a place of education. If you're an ultimate stager, if that's your gig, like I'm not a staging person, okay? I have a stager that comes in for my listings. Go and show them, how do you stage a bathroom? How do you stage a kitchen? 3 things to do in your bedroom before the photographer shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like these are all simple things that your audience is going to resonate with. How do you do the landscaping out front of your house? What are 3 things to know about your pool that you need to know before you buy a house? Like anything that you have value and have gotten questions around and the answers to, I say put it out there. Start making content around that.
Very good. Very good. A question that came in from Demetria. She's asking, how do I get more followers on Instagram?
Okay. Your content. Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you Instagram right now is very focused on people with a small following. So, my bigger account isn't doing as well as my smaller account, and I'm very focused on what is working and what's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that basically the content is the same, different audiences, but the smaller account, because the algorithm is favoring it. So let's talk about followers. So first of all, you're going to say, well, I only have 100 followers. All right, right now, if there were 100 people trying to get into your bathroom, would that be a lot of people? Yes. Second of all, I'm going to say to you, do you know who these 100 people are? Have you had conversations with them? Like, do you know where they came from, how they came, what are they engaging with? If you don't know the answers to those questions, then you need to dig deeper with that following and get to
Mm-hmm.
know them better. Okay. Then you need to go back and look at, okay, what kind of posts or videos did I create? And you do this through your analytics that my audience seemed to like. What was it about it? And you kind of got to take out like the pictures of you with your husband or your kids, because everybody always likes to see you with your personal side, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to look and say, okay, what resonated with my audience? And then build more videos and content around what has worked. But getting it into and getting in and knowing your follower is going to help you grow your following. So something that I do with every one of my followers that I get, whether it's on my Pinky Nose Naples page or it's on my other page, is that I do message about once a week every time I get new followers, and I'll go in and say, "Hey, thanks for following me. How did you find me?" And I start to have conversations. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. That's okay. I'm just trying to get a general, like, I want to make sure that the people that are following me on my other page are Naples people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I learned a hard lesson about the fact that, like, this page, my Pinky Nose Naples page, is where the real estate agents follow me. And that audience is now real estate agents. So my content there has to be real estate agent oriented
Mm-hmm.
versus the other page, which is for my Naples peeps. So I kick off real estate agents off that page because it's not content for you. You can go spy on me and see what I'm doing, but I don't want you on there. Okay. You can mess up my algorithm. So knowing what your who your follower is and who is that ideal follower you're going for,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who is the ideal follower? And look at your bio. If
Mm-hmm.
your bio says buy, sell, and invest with me, bleh, okay, like that stinks. Every real estate agent has that. What else do you have to offer? Are you an
Mm-hmm.
expert stager? Are you, do you know the ins and outs of Houston like nobody else? Then put that and
Mm-hmm.
start making content around that.
Very good. So you have to know your audience to grow your audience. I love it. If there are any other questions for Pinky, type those in. We'll get to as many as we can. Just a comment that came in from Gabrielle. She said you were talking about being you and telling your story. She said you have to tell your story to be relatable. So yeah, absolutely. Somebody also just put daily life content. They put that as a comment. So daily life
And I
content.
here's a thing too. There is a fine line because a lot of agents, maybe they're a little older, um, they hear authenticity or behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and they get very intimidated by the idea that they have to share every skeleton in their closet to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I don't share every skeleton in my closet. I share parts of my story that are relatable. All
Mm-hmm.
right. You're not going to see me talk about having a fight with my husband or a fight with my kids. Yes, that could be relatable and that could be authentic, but it's not part of my story that I need to share with my audience. So I think you need to understand that you don't have to share every trip to the doctor, or whatever is going on in your life, your ingrown toenail, to be authentic. Okay. There are other ways to do that.
Very good. A question that came in here from Kenethia. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Kenethia. Do you recommend theme pages?
I think what you're saying by theme pages, if we're talking about Instagram, is a brand page. Is
Mm-hmm.
that what she's kind of going for? Or I've not heard that specific term theme. Have you?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if she means like having a certain aesthetic for your Instagram. You know how some
I
people try to
think
keep it within a color scheme.
Yeah, like I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
like my color scheme is obviously pink,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to try and stay within that realm of pinkness.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that, like, if you're doing a video, you want to remember, especially on Instagram, that they're coming back and they're looking at your content later, and they're going to click on a thumbnail, which is similar to YouTube. You want them to know what
Mm-hmm.
exactly that video is about, so that they are intrigued enough to touch it. So having kind of a similar theme
Mm-hmm.
of what that cover might look like is going to be helpful. It makes it look better than those frozen,
She said she followed up with a yes, so I'm thinking she means like a branded page, actually. What
Okay,
you
well,
first
again,
mentioned.
that's knowing what your brand is
Mm-hmm.
and staying on brand. So I actually did this exercise at the Agent Rise Summit recently. I said to the audience, I wrote out, like, I kind of did like a psychic thing, and I handed it to one of my tutelés, and I said to the audience, tell me what my brand is. Because my perspective of what my brand is and what you see my brand is could be completely different. But
Mm-hmm.
I have worked hard over the years to identify what my brand is to my audience. And so, as they name, obviously pink, Naples, real estate agent, Instagram, like all of those things that have encompassed my brand. So I know who I come from, a place of positivity. I'm a straight shooter. Like all of those things are part of my brand. So it's not just pink. It's not just Naples. It's not just video. Like all of these are encompassing. And I have to remember that every time I create a piece of content, that it needs to stay within that realm, right? Like
Mhm.
me showing up being very negative is not going to benefit my audience, right? Like
Mhm.
that's not what my audience expects from me. So you have to know, like, what am I going to be creating? And that can be overwhelming, but you need to start somewhere. And then another exercise might be go to Facebook and ask the question of, when you think of me, what do you think?
Mm.
And start to go through that exercise of seeing what people actually say. You could do it in your stories too on Instagram, depending on what
Mhm.
kind of engagement you get. But I think it's a good Facebook activity.
Very good. Thank you so much. I meant to ask this follow up question earlier, just because you mentioned the analytics and looking at your analytics to see what's working. How often do you recommend that realtors kind of take a pause to look at those analytics?
With my Tudalese, I tell them about every 6 weeks. I like
Hmm.
them to go in, analyze, just look and see. Like, here's the thing. We get really hung up on views. I didn't get enough views. Nobody's watching. Okay, first of all, when it comes to selling a house, it only takes one buyer, so I only need one view. Okay, as long as that view is on point, then that's what matters. Second of all, your views, you want them to slowly be growing, right? You want to start seeing comments and engagement. Your job is not to go after viral, right? And so when
Hmm.
you go in and look at analytics, that's the first thing you go, oh, well, how many views did I get? That's not what I want you to focus on. So every 6 weeks, go in and say, okay, what were my best performing posts? And Instagram will break it down for you and show you like what your top content was, and then go, okay, why did that resonate with my audience? What was in that picture? Like you have to be really
Hmm.
self-aware and say, what was it with that video that grabbed their attention? Was
Hmm.
it the music that was playing? Was it trending audio that hit? Was it the words that I used on the text, the hook, the call to action? There's
Hmm.
lots of things that go into it, but I really encourage every 6 weeks. And you know what? You can even do this with your Facebook. You can be like, okay, go back to your last 10 posts and say which of my last 10 posts performed the best and why.
Hmm. Okay, very good. Thank you. A couple more questions that came in, and we'll get, and I have a few more questions for you myself. Erica, because you mentioned that you have two accounts, so I think she wants to kind of clear this up here. She said, I want to build my referral brand to connect with agents. Do you recommend that I create a second Instagram to target other agents?
Okay, so this is a hard question. Okay, have you been able to conquer one account?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing, because otherwise if you haven't conquered one account on Instagram, adding in a second account is only going to frustrate you more and get you like overwhelmed completely, right? So I really don't recommend doing a second account. I had to, because, and let me be clear about this, because people will say, "Oh, well, I have agents following me. Are they messing up my algorithm?" It wasn't like 5 agents. It wasn't like 100 agents. I had like thousands and thousands of agents in my algorithm. So that's why it was messing up my algorithm.
Mm.
So as long as you're creating content that people are engaging with, you don't need to have a second account. But my main eyeballs that were on my account, they were agents not in my area. So why did they care about Naples content? They
Mm-hmm.
didn't. And so the people that were following me from Naples were getting pushed down. They weren't seeing my content. So that's why I had to have another account for them.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's been kind of funny because a lot of the people that are on my Naples page, or on my Naples for Pinky Nose Naples that were there originally, they're small business owners. So they actually like my content, because even though it's directed at real estate agents that are tips and tricks on how to grow your social media, they like it for their own small businesses. So
Mm-hmm.
it still resonates with them.
Okay, that
So
makes
no,
sense.
I don't recommend getting a second account.
Okay, very good. Well, you've shared some great examples of ways for realtors to state their value, utilizing video. Are there any other suggestions you have? Because, we've talked repeatedly on this program about the importance of stating your value. So, are there any other ways that you want to share with our audience about stating your value and utilizing video to do so?
First of all, getting in front of the camera and speaking That's gonna show your value, show your expertise, show
Mhm.
your knowledge. You worked hard all these years to gain this. We are in a time now where our value is being just dissected by the media, by the consumer. Everyone out there is trying to figure out, are real estate agents worth it? Right?
Mhm.
And what do? We go over and we post, I got this award, I got that award. You guys, there's no value in your award. Like, it's nice and it's
Yeah.
a good, I get it. I've been there, I've done it. But if you really want them to understand what goes into being a real estate agent, for example, open houses, how many times do you think a seller thinks that you're just putting some signs in the yard and that's it? Open the door, people come in. We all know that there goes a whole lot goes into an open house. At least for
Mhm.
me, I have an online campaign that runs. I have a Facebook event page that runs. I send out emails to everybody. I create videos that go out. I mean, there is more than just sticking the signs in the yard and
Mhm.
educating, doing a video vlog style showing like, okay, here I am doing this. Here I am doing that. It feels awkward and weird, but that's showing your value. That's showing that it's not just me showing up, turning the lights on and say, okay, come
Mhm.
on in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Another question, really quick, just about a business account. Um, Johannes was just asking, what's the purpose of a business account? And I think there's a little misconception here. Instagram won't allow you certain posts if you have a business account. Am I wrong in understanding that? So, just really quick, I know we only have a few more minutes with you, but the value of a business account versus a personal account for a realtor.
Okay, so first of all, you want to have in my opinion, a creator account. Okay. So a
Mm-hmm.
creator account is basically a mix between personal and business. It gives you a little more flexibility. I firmly believe that business accounts are meant for huge businesses
Mm-hmm.
such as Target, Macy's, like big
Mm-hmm.
Walmart, like these major corporations that have different guidelines when it comes to their social media presence. We as agents think, oh, I'm a business, therefore I need a business account.
Yeah.
No, you're a creator creating content for your community or for your uh, local establishments, right? So I would say switch to a creator account. And I have never had any kind of issue with certain posts. I can say that music can you'll get better music actually. Like if you struggled with trying to find trending music and you can't, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably because you have a business account and not a creator account.
Okay, that makes sense. So we also talk about education a lot on this program. What are some ways that realtors can learn more about video marketing?
Oh, well, they could come to my class on Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. So we mentioned that you are a keynote speaker in our HAR Technology Summit this Wednesday, and there's still seats open. So tell us about your session.
Okay, so this is actually a hands-on class. So I know a lot of times you guys go to classes like you'll have a wonderful speaker get up there and be like, "You need to be doing videos. You need to be on Instagram. You need to be doing this." And you're all fired up and you're excited to do it. And then you go and you take out your phone and you have it in your hand and you're like, "I have no idea what I'm doing." I am actually going to show you how to edit a real estate reel in real time. So I am going to, in 90 minutes, we are going to go through the process of what type of videos you need to shoot and then go through actual editing in the class. So you
Mhm.
can see hands on. It's really not that hard, but you do have to try. So that's what my class is on Wednesday.
Wonderful. And we did share a link. Again, there's still some seats left. So we did share a link to that in the comments. Be sure to sign up. I'll also be there. I'm giving a much shorter session than the 90 minutes, but I'll also be there along with some really great speakers. Katie Lance is giving actually two presentations that day as well. So we are very excited to hear from her as well. Well, again, Pinky, thank you so much for everything you've shared today. Are there any last words of wisdom, anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
I will say this because you just mentioned Katie. Katie was my original mentor on social media marketing. She was the only person out there that was even remotely showing up to help agents. And if I can give you any advice, whether it's on video or Instagram, find yourself a mentor, someone who's willing to share and educate with you, and it will take you to so many wonderful mountaintops.
Mhm.
But also be a mentor to others. Okay. Don't come from a place of competition and that you're going to block other people off. Come from a place of collaboration. Be willing to help the agent behind you who may be scared, who's new, who doesn't know. Don't be a jerk to them. Bring them in, help them out.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This was, again, very informative. Lots of great thank yous, and this was so great in the comments.
Okay.
And if they cannot attend the technology summit on Wednesday, what are some ways that our members can connect with you?
Pinky Knows Naples on Instagram. Don't go to the other account because I'll remove you. Pinky Knows Naples is the one that you want to be on.
Very good. Well, thank you so much again for your time today. We again, we're looking forward to Wednesday, seeing you there, and
I
of course, you can follow Pinky on Instagram, Pinky Knows Naples on Instagram. That's it for this Member Focus Monday. We will be back next week with leaders from various Asian American groups. It is actually Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So we have 5 groups represented on a panel next week that I'm really excited to speak with. So be sure to tune in next week at 9 a.m. Have a great week, everyone. Bye bye.
See you later.